Welcome to LiveDaf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem. Welcome back to today's Daf Hayemi Meseches KEREISOS Daf Chaf Hey. We begin on Chaf Dal Amud Beis towards the bottom, so it's 3 lines off the bottom at the 2 dots. Itma, we have learned a discussion regarding the Egla Rufa, which is the calf beheaded after they find a victim on the road. So the attacker who killed him is at large, unknown. In the meantime, we bring an Egla Rufa to be machaper on that situation. And the question is, we know that the Egla Rufa becomes asur bahana, it's off limits. At what point does it happen? We have a machlekes. A masai, at what point ne'aseres has become off limits? Rav Avnuna Amar Mechaim. Even before the arifa takes place, during its lifetime, it's already asur. Rav Amar no la'achar arifa. After they do the arifa, then it turns asur. We understand Rava, simply speaking, look, the mas is what makes the isur. That's when it turns into an Egla Rufa. And that's when the Isser begins. According to Rav Nuna, what's the trigger point of the Isser? Turn to the next topic. Amar Rav Yanai. So Rav Yanai told us. I heard something from the Rebbeim, and I can't recall. Gvul, it was a sort of a boundary, a starting point, Shemati ba, that I heard about it. Vishachachti. And I forgot. However, V'nasvin, Chavraya, Lemema, the colleagues here are suggesting, Vanasvin, they're putting forth Lamema to say that Yeridas ala Nachal Eson. They're bringing down the delivery of the Egla to the Nachal Eson, to the hardened ravine, which is the location where they do the whole process, Eisarta. So delivering it to that location is what makes it Asr. That designates it for the Egla Rufa. That begins the process and triggers the Yisr. Amar Rav Amnuna, how do I know this is true? That the Isra is activated even during the lifetime. This none. We have a Mishnah back in Maseches Chulin. So he shechted the mother animal. He's not meant to shech the offspring on the same day. However, let's say the offspring is not an ordinary animal that you're going to eat. It's a paraduma, it's a sharhaniska, which is stoned by the bezin, it's an Egla Rufa. These things are not really going to be edible. So by definition, this is called a shchita she'ena ru'iyah. It's not a shchita which enables it for consumption. Does it fall under the isra of don't shech mother and offspring on the same day? Well, it's a shchita, but it's not a standard shchita which enables consumption. How is it treated? It's not. Shechet paraschata is a shechta paraduma of sharniskal, which was condemned by the Bezdin, which is asur to eat, and likewise the Egla Rufa. He does shchita on these. Rabbi Shimon Poiter from the Isra of Eisev Esbenai, because according to him it has to be a shchita ru'iyah la'achila, a shchita which enables it for consumption, as opposed to these which are off limits. They're asur b'hanav, v'chachamim achayvin. They hold them accountable because a shchita is a shchita. Says Rav Nuna, doesn't that prove my point that Egla Rufa is already asur? Because why then would the shchita not be materit for consumption? He never did arifa, he did shchita. Evidently, it's because the Egla Rufa is already asur once delivered to the location. Hence, the shchita is not going to permit it for consumption. Hence, the exemption according to Rabbi Shimon. Perfect. Bishlem, according to me, it works out perfect. I mean, I say mechaim, the Isra was activated while alive. B'hapli, Rabbi Shimon Rabban. That makes perfect. Makes for perfect understanding of the machlokes. The Rabbi Shimon Savar shchita she'ena ru'iyah lo yishma shchita. He holds that this type of shchita, which is not going to enable it for consumption, because you're being sheikh, it's something which is asur, lo yishma shchita, doesn't count as a shchita regarding these matters. Rabban Amri, it does shchita she'ena ru'iyah shema shchita. That's all good and well if the isur is already here, even before it's beheaded. Eloi amars la'acharif, but if you say that the arifa is what triggers the isur, which didn't happen in this case, so what's the mitigating factor according to Rabbi Shimon? I might put to Reb Shimon, why does Reb Shimon exempt him for doing the Oisev as Benoi? After all, it's a proper shchita ru'yahi. Reb Shimon, perhaps Reb Shimon would hold that, the Isra was not yet activated. Only the Arifa activates the Isser, but he holds that although he meant to do the Arifa from the back of the neck, but if he happens to do the Shechita on the Egla Rufa, it also counts. And also gives it, Egla Rufa status and activates the Isser. Perhaps we can suggest, even if one is to do a Shechita on the Egla instead of the Arifa, it's still good. So the process has been accomplished, has been fulfilled, and that's why this is Isra. That's not, but now we have a Mishnah which tells us otherwise. It has a very specific process. If you deviate, it's a failure. But not kosher para. So the Mishnah compares the para duma, which needs regular shechita, to the egla, which needs arifa. What's good for this doesn't work for that, and vice versa. Each one has his own specific process. But not kosher para, what's good for the para, meaning the shechita, doesn't work. Is possible by egla rufa, and likewise possible by para, something which does not work by the para, meaning the beheading, is exactly what you need to do by the egla. Is kosher by the egla rufa. And the Mishnah explains, para needs b'shchita kshera, but if you do the arifa it's psula. And exactly the opposite by the egla. Egla ba'arifa, it's good, kshera, b'shchita, it's no good, psula. So clearly, the shchita in itself should not trigger any processes. So why then is it considered off limits? Apparently because the isser was already present. Mechayim. Says Rav Nuna, that's a right to my position. Unlike Rabba who says the Isser only comes later, Ishtik, so Rabba was silenced. After Rav Nuna left the Beis Medrash, Rabba says, my time, why couldn't I just answer him simply? It's the Shechita that makes the Isser Hana. Although the accepted view is that Shechita is not considered the proper procedure for the Egla Rufa, but Reb Shimon would disagree. And specifically Reb Shimon, who holds that the Egla Rufa who is Shecht becomes an Egla Rufa kosher, that's why it's considered Shechita Sheni Rib, because there's this Arno starting now. So Reb Shimon Savar Egla b'Shechita is Ksher. But it's not so simple. Rav Nuna would have responded, we don't find any Tana anywhere making mention of this opinion. Apparently it doesn't exist. Lo nishtam mit Tana. Why wouldn't the Tana go and clarify for us? Dishmeinan. We don't find any Tana that goes out of his way and informs us of this opinion that an egla b'shchita, if you do shchita, it is kshera. The Timin Reb Shimoni, which would be attributed to Reb Shimon. There's no mention, apparently it doesn't exist. So since the only process that works for the egla rufa is arifa, which didn't happen in this case, so why is the shechita not permitting it for consumption? Where's the isser? That proves that the isser precedes the arifa. It's already there during its lifetime. Amar Rava. On the other side of the equation, how do I know that my position in fact is correct? The isser only happens by the arifa itself, but this not. Look at our Mishnah. Egla rufa in a cane. It's in contrast to the Yasham Tali, which was discovered to be unnecessary, where the Chacham say, look, it's still committed to the cause that has Kedusha. Egla rufa is different. It's only designated, on condition, on account of the need. Actually, never before the Arifa happened, you discovered the killer. There's no need to do the Egla rufa. Teitze, v'tir be'et, send it back to the herd, to the farm. Doesn't that prove that it doesn't have status yet? That's exactly what I said. There's no Isser yet. If you're going to tell me that the Isser is already there during its life, that already has status, how can you send it back to the farm? It's already Isser. Well, today we can revise the Mishnah. It doesn't mean before or after Arifa. It means like this. Before it was delivered to the location versus after delivery. That's the trigger point. Today we can revise the Mishnah as follows. He discovered that it was unneeded before it was suitable for Arifa, meaning before it was delivered to the location, because delivered to the location perhaps is the trigger point. Okay, let's assume. Continues the Mishnah in Seifa, Mishnah continues Mishnah effort. After Arifa, then it was discovered to be unneeded, meaning discovered the killer. Too late to cover him, you buried it on the spot. And again, the question is, why is that dependent upon the actual Arifa? According to Rav Nuna, the Isser was already activated once it got to the location. You don't need that Arifa for that. Tani, again, we'll revise it. Mishanir is la Arifa. It doesn't mean it actually did Arifa. It means it was suitable. It was at the location. And once that happens, there's no turning back, because the Isser is already applied. Says the Gemara, Imkain Imoseifa. If that's what the Mishnah means, contrasting pre-delivery to post-delivery, but it's still alive and well. Imkain Imoseifa. How does that work with the next part of the Mishnah, which gives an explanation for this? You should know that although we discovered the killer, the process was a successful process. Why? Initially, it came to address an uncertainty, an unknown situation. Well, guess what? Kippur's fake of Alchala. It did its job. When you went through the process, you were still in a state of uncertainty. So although you discovered it later, so what? It doesn't matter. It did its job. It addressed the uncertainty. What do you mean it did its job? We're talking that it's still alive and well. It just happened to be at the location. That's not considered kippura. It's not kapara. Kapara refers to the actual process of the arif. If it's still alive, yet atone for the suffix. So clearly, we have to go with the simple wording of the Mishnah. So the Mishnah just simply means before arifa versus after arifa. Because before arifa, there's no Isra yet. So if it was discovered to be unneeded, send it back to the farm. As opposed to after arifa, it's too late. It had the Isra. That's a right to Rav. That the Isra only happens after arifa. Tanoihi, you're right. It's a machlekes tanoim. Some hold the Isra gets activated only by the arifa, as per the Mishnah we just quoted, versus others who hold the Isser applies way back, as soon as it's delivered to the location of the Arifa. The Talmud Bavli Shmuel, he learns like this. We have an interesting equation here, interesting correlation. Nemar machshur u'mechaper b'fnim. We find two categories of karbonis that are processed in the Beis HaMikdash. Something called a mechaper, it's a standard, chatos in the Asham. We have a machshur, an enabler. Something that would say that the Nazir, the Asham Mitzvah, right? He brings it to accomplish, purification. That's called a machshir, to open the door back to the community, to the karbonis. We have two types of karbonis. And likewise, you find a similar setup outside the Beis HaMikdash. V'nemar machshir, we find machshir outside. Rashi says the birds of the Mitzvah is again to enable impurity. U'machaper, we have machaper b'chutz as well. Where is that? Rashi says we have the egla rufa, which the pasuk refers to as a machaper, kaper lamcha Yisrael, and a chaper lam adam, and we have the sarah mishtaleach, right? The goat that's thrown off the cliff in Yom Kippur, it's a machaper. So we find two types of karbonis that are processed outside the Beis HaMikdash. V'namar machshir machaper b'chutz. We make a connection, just like the ones that are inside the Beis HaMikdash. They're treated equally, whether it's a machshir or a machaper. They have a similar process, same type of akrava. Everything's pretty much the same. Likewise, the ones done outside, no distinction. Ma machshir machaper amma b'fnim, just like the ones inside asaboy. The Torah treated the machshir just like machaper with all the halachis. Af machshir machaper b'chutz, likewise, the ones that are outside, the machshir, like the birds of the Mitzvah, or machaper, like the egla rufa, like the Sarah Mishtaleach, Ha'omer B'chutz, which is processed outside the Beis HaMikdash. Also, machshir k'machaper, we treat the machshir like the machaper. And therefore, the birds of the Mitzvah become asur even during their lifetime, because we treat them like the egla rufa, which likewise is asur mechaim. Ask Rashi, but how do we know that? The answer is there's another link to the derivation. We connect the egla rufa to the Sarah Mishtaleach, which Rashi says is obviously going to be asur mechayim, because like a carbon, you designate it as a Sarah Mishtaleach, and it becomes kaddish. So that's the starting point, so to speak. So once we know that's asur mechayim, we carry that over to the egla rufa, and by extension to the tzipora mitzvah. Okay, so when does the egla rufa become asur b'hano? Machlekes. Some say mechayim, once it gets to the nachal esan. Some say only at the arifa. Back to Asham Tali, says the Mishnah Belezo. Does one have to wait until he encounters an uncertainty whether he ate, chalev, in order to trigger the Asham Tali process? No, he can just donate it. at will, whenever you want. So whenever you wish to bring Asham Tali, just in case, maybe, cover all the bases, you can do it anytime you want. In fact, they had a special name, the Asham of the righteous, or the tzaddikim, who want to make sure their slate is clean. They're always fully connected to Hashem. Amr Allah, in fact, it was said upon Al-Bava ben Buta, the following was said about him: he's to bring Hashem Tali b'chol every day, b'chol yom, except one day after Yom Kippur. Why? Why? Omar, he says, really, I would have done it. Haman Hazeh made an oath in the name of the Shechina, of the Beis HaMikdash. He says, you know what? If it's up to me, I bring it even today. But they didn't let me. If they would just let me, how you see, maybe I would bring it even today. But they would tell me, this is another shita, another opinion, which is sort of in the middle. And in between shita. You have to have some ground, some basis of uncertainty. You can't just bring it today. You just had a full day of mechila yesterday. Your slate is clean. Wait a day. Hamtin, wait actually to kanis until you enter the realm of uncertainty. You have to wait a day. So far we have two shitas. Rabbi Lezer says, bring it anytime you want, even Matzah Yom Kippur. Then there's Amrulai, which is another version of Rabbi Lezer. You have to have some inkling of uncertainty. No, there's a very fixed, absolute trigger point for the Asham Tali. Ein mebiyin Asham Tali elal shos doinai koros v'shigigosei chatas. As we've been learning until now, that Asham Tali is only on account of an uncertainty with respect to a very severe possible violation, something which, if done intentionally, triggers koros, by mistake chatas. If you're not sure, Asham Tali. That's the shita of Chacham. So bottom line, three shitas. Chacham say, koros chatas equation generates the Asham Tali. Rabbi Lezer says, donate it whenever you want. Amrullah says, yeah, but with some element of uncertainty. Now what happens if a person passed through Yom Kippur? What happens to his carbon obligations? We know Yom Kippur triggers an all-encompassing atonement. If we get so elevated that everything gets cleaned out. What about if we have a chiv of carbon? What if a person ate chaylev? What if he's not sure? What happens to all those? If a person is obligated to bring a chatos, a regular chatos, or an asham vadai, who have experienced Yom Kippur, so true, the person gets kapara, but the carbon obligation remains intact. He's still built with the carbon. But if it's a question of uncertainty, whether he discovered that uncertainty before or even after Yom Kippur, if it's in essence a suffix which would trigger an Asham Tali, that's a personal atonement just in case. Yom Kippur takes care of that. In fact, Misha Babi Yadi Safek Aver Yom Kippur, if you encountered a Safek Aver on Yom Kippur itself, I feel even towards evening, Potter is exempt from the Asham Tali because Shekal Ayem Mechaper. Every section of Yom Kippur has the power of atonement for the Asham Tali situation. However, a woman who's unsure whether she had a legal birth, whether she has to bring the chatasoif, she does it misafik, and she experienced Yom Kippur. Is it treated the same like Asham Tali? No. She has to bring it. Why? Because this isn't really technically an atonement. It's an enabler. It's a machsher. It's a purifier. It opens the door for karbanis, or access to karban. It's a different type of karban that has to be done even after Yom Kippur. Further on this topic, let's say the woman is bringing the chatasoif on account of the uncertain leda. Let's say she discovers the fact after the malika, the beheading of the bird took place. It's too late to cover. You have to bury it because you're already en route, mid-process. Even though it turns out to be unneeded, you my time to Rebelezer. So Rebelezer holds Asham Tali could just be volunteered and donated. Why? Rebelezer holds, look, if it's really an obligatory process, how could that be so? Because we know a person who's not sure brings Asham Tali. Let's say a day later he reviews the footage and he says, "Oh, I ate chaylev." He has to bring a chatas. So the fact that he brought an Asham Tali does not exempt him from any future liabilities. So then, how could you say Asham Tali is an obligatory carbon? If it's obligatory, then he fulfilled his obligation. Done. File closed. Apparently it's not so. It addresses an element of personal accountability, but doesn't really cover him. It's just a donation. It's a volunteer act. When he discovers the true facts, why does he have to bring another chatas? Apparently it's an adava. So even when you bring it, it has an element of volunteerism to it. It exudes favor with Hashem. It is considered like a sort of like a gift, temporary gift. Rabbanon respond by saying no. Don't extrapolate from there that the essence of the Hashem Tali is really a gift which you could really donate whatever you want, even if there's no basis for uncertainty or sin. No. That's specific to Oila v'Shlamim. Yes, Oila v'Shlamim would also be an adava. Those can be donated. But Chatas v'Asham are obligatory karbanos. Now, as to your question, V'Asham tell you time the Maisi Mekama de Mesyatale. So why then does the person bring an Asham Tali? Why is he obligated to bring a carbon now if in a day's time he's going to have to bring another carbon? The answer is, it's a temporary atonement. It's such a concept. Lahagin Allah, to protect him from retribution, which may be due to him because, if he ate that chelav, that Torah chasa al gufan shel Yisrael, Torah is concerned about the goof of a yid. So Torah gives him that opportunity to protect himself in the meantime until he discovers the facts. Maybe it's both. Why one or the other? Maybe Asham Tali is similar to Oila v'Shlamim, which really has both expressions. It could be a donated carbon, which is more typical, but there's also an obligatory Oila v'Shlamim. Rashi says on Yom Tov, you bring Oila Asriya, Sham Chagi. So maybe Asham Tali has both potentials. Ma Oila v'Shlamim da'asa b'chayv. It's like Oila v'Shlamim can come both ways. Chayv and adava. Asham Tali nami. Da'asi b'chayv, asi nami adava. Perhaps Asham Tali, standard is chayv. You encounter the suffix, you got to bring it, but maybe you could just donate it as well. Maybe it has two variations. Amalesi says no. That's true by the Oila v'Shlamim, because Ikar ben Adava Ksivi, primarily, the Torah refers to it as an Adava, that's the beginning of Vayikra there. It's primarily an Adava. Sure, there are some, sub-variations, secondary formats which are considered chayva, but it's primarily an Adava. But an Asham Tali is just the opposite. Ikar b'chayva Ksiv. The Torah refers to it as something obligatory. And we can't just sort of, invent a new variation of Asham Tali. Tani Rabbi Chia, Kamei de Rava. He presented a brayso to Rava Chidush. He says, look, Asham Tali Bala Nevela. A person is not sure if he ate an Nevela, which is merely an Isser Lav. It's not Kares related. He's not sure because it's Asham Tali. Amar Leisi says, what do you mean? But not now we have a Mishnah. Chacham Oimrim, no. It needs to be a Kares, Chatas. Dilemma. Chacham Oimrim, Eina maybe Asham Tali, Elal Davash has done a Kares, which goes to Chatas. So this can't be following the Rabbanon. The Rabbi Lezer. Okay, so maybe it's Rabbi Lezer speaking. But you don't need to encounter a suffix nevela. He can just bring it out of the blue if he wants. So this linkage between suffix nevela and Asham Tali, who's it going like? Amalei, he responded, he says, my time relay masness. Why haven't you learned properly? Zimnan Sagin, Tanisa Kameimar. Many times I presented this brayso to the Rebbe, the great man. Who's the great man? Umanoi, that's Rabbah. Amalei told me, I'll explain to you what's going on. Amani Rabbi Lezer. This is the other version of Rabbi Lezer in the Mishnah, the in-between Shita, the Amrulai, the Rabbi Lezer, the Amrulai, their opinion there, that it has to have some inkling of sin. This none. They told him, Hamtin, wait for another day after Yom Kippur until you have some element of uncertainties here as well. You have to have some inkling of possible sins, so at least Safek Nevela, and then it's justified. Amar of my time at Amrulai. How do you explain this middle Shita? That even, Asham Tali can even be triggered by another type of possible violation, even a lav. Amakra, look at the pasuk in discussing Asham Tali. Ashaloi te'asena v'lo yadav Hashem. Ashaloi te'asena means he should not have done this, which refers to any love, which should not have been done, and that justifies Nashim Tali. So although again he's not obligated, but he can bring it for that as well. Amar my time of the Rabbanon. Now what about the Rabbanon? Why do they say the Amri ein Rabbi Nashim Tali el davar shezer doine koros v'shugasi chatas? Why does it have to be koros chatas and nothing else? Yalfi mitzvahs mechatas chaylev. They have gzera shav. It says mitzvahs over here. It says mitzvahs by the regular chatas upon eating chaylev. We connect mala halan just like over there. It entails koros chatas. Shezdare koros shugasi chatas. Afkan here as well. We're talking davar, a matter shezdare koros v'shugasi chatas, and only then, if it's something which, if intentional, triggers koros, unintentional triggers chatas. If it's uncertain, it's nashim tali. Tana Rabban. Interesting brayso. Chamisha ashamis mechapen. There are 5 types of ashams. Rashi enumerates it for us. Asham gzelos, if he steals and swears falsely. Umi'ilos, right? That's from the hegdish of charuf of another mitzvah. 5 types of regular ashams. Asham vadai. They are mechapen. Asham tali ain't mechaper. Kabar gemura, but the asham tali does not do a complete atonement. I come out. What does the brayso mean to say? This contrast between Amar the brayso means like this. Chamisha ashamis mechapen kabar gemura. The 5 standard make a full atonement. V'asham tali not. Ein mechaper kabar gemura. It doesn't do a complete atonement, as Rashi explains, because once he discovers that he ate the chaylev, he must bring another chantas. Like Rabbi Lezer, but it's not going like Rabbi Lezer. The Amor told us, Asham tali bal nevela. You can bring Asham tali for nevela as well, in which case it would accomplish a complete atonement. So we have a variation of Asham tali. It does do a complete atonement. Apparently, this brayso is not going like that shita. This brayso is telling us Asham tali does not have that potential. Rabbi Amar, a different shot in the brayso. The Talmud Bavli means like this. Chamisha ashams. Regarding the 5 standard ashams, there's no alternate route. There's no substitute for the asham to receive the atonement. Ein achar. There's no other means to be mechaper kaparos. Meaning, Rashi explains, meaning Yom Kippur will not address it. If he finds out, after Yom Kippur, he's got to bring the asham, despite having experienced the purity of Yom Kippur. As per the Mishnah, that Yom Kippur does not address definite carbon obligations. Once he discovers the fact, he's got to bring the asham. However, the asham talui is not so. There's something else that can do the job. Yom Kippur, because if he finds out that he encountered a suffix situation, whether after Yom Kippur or before Yom Kippur as well, right? So once he experienced Yom Kippur, he's done. Because it's not as we had in the Mishnah. Regarding the regular chatas v'asham, she'avar leim kippurim after Yom Kippur, they have to still bring it. But however, in that case, Yom Kippur takes care of it, and they are better. Now for the sources. Yom Kippur does not address it. Okay, so let's recap the Mishnah. The Mishnah explained that in contrast to Chayav Chatois Vashamas Vadoyin, when there's a definite Chiyav, Sha'avar Aleinu Kippurim, these people experience Yom Kippur, Chayav and Lahavi, La'achar, Yom Kippur is left to bring that carbon after Yom Kippur. But by the Chayav Hashamas Talui, and those are Chayav Yasham Talui, Paturin, once they experience Yom Kippur, they're exempt. How do we know this difference between the two? Kiyasa Ravdimi. When Rav Dimi came, he quoted Amar Rav Ami, Amar Rav Chanina. Amar quoted the pasuk regarding the chatas hapnimi, the sword that's processed inside the Heichal Kadosh HaKadoshim, speaks about its atonement coverage. Amar Kro, v'chipar ala kodesh mitumos meis shol b'shem l'chol chatosim. It covers the tumah encounters in the Beis Hamikdash, and the pasuk refers to 2 types of infractions: chet, which is unintentional, and pesha, which is intentional. So the pasuk, by making this double reference, is comparing the 2. You should know that the chatas will only atone for a type of chet which has similar characteristics to the pesha. So just like a pesha is not eligible for korban, an intentional sin doesn't generate a korban, for the most part. Likewise, the chet that we speak here is of a similar property that is not something which had activated a carbon obligation. Only that is something that could be atoned for in Yom Kippur. Chatayim dumi the p'shayim, the chatayim similar to the p'shayim, ma p'shayim labnei carbon, just like the p'shayim are not eligible for carbon. Af chatayim, likewise the chatayim discussed here at the labnei carbon, or without a carbon obligation. That is mechaper. That the carbon could be mechaper on. Ava chatayim nei carbon loy mechaper, but it cannot be mechaper on something which already has a carbon attached to it. Hence, we know that those that are obligated to bring a chatas v'asham cannot be addressed for by Yom Kippur. Amalei Abai says, Abai, you're right, but what's the context of this pasuk? Look, this pasuk is talking about the soyer nasa b'fnim b'chsiv. It's that chatas that's processed inside, which to begin with had a more limited scope of coverage. The mechaper al averos the mitzvah you do. It doesn't cover averos where the fellow was aware before he entered the Beis Hamikdash betuma. The whole discussion of Masechah Shvuos, it doesn't cover all cases. So perhaps, to begin with, it's limited. So that's why it doesn't cover everything. Aval, but let's say the soreh mishtaleach, the goat that's sent off the cliff, which has a much broader range of coverage. The mechaber covers pretty much everything. Al averos the mitzvah yadua covers even avera which he knew about. He knew that he was tamei before he entered the Mikdash, then he forgot, whatever, it covers much more. So perhaps Emelach, I can suggest, Afilu al Chatoim Dibnei Carbon in a Mechaber will cover even Averas which have a carbon attached to them already. So again, how do we know Yom Kippur cannot address carbon-related sins? Elam Rabbayi Melch, I'll bring you the pasuk. The pasuk which speaks about the Shar Mishtaleach, actually. V'isvad olav es kol avonos bnei Yisrael. It's called Pisheim, Chochatois. He's going to confess about the avonos, the p'shaim, the chatoim. And once again, we have a reference to pasha and chet in the same breath, which allows for that connection. Chatoim, which are dumya the p'shaim, only those will be addressed by the sor mishtaleach. Ma p'shaim the labnei carbon, av chatoim labnei carbon, only those that are without a carbon attached. Av chatoim ne carbon inu, but those that have a carbon attached, loy mechaber cannot atone for them. Umeyate kra b'sar mishtaleach. Torah here is excluding these from the Sar Mishtaleach coverage to teach us l'meimra dal chatoid nekarbon ninu lemechaper. It cannot atone for averos that have a carbon attached to them. Amalei Rabdimi, you're assuming that the pesha is something without a carbon, and likewise the chet is without a carbon. But guess what? There are some peshaim that are eligible for carbon. We had this a while ago. In some cases, 4 in total, who bring a carbon even if it's an intentional sin. I know there are exceptions to the rule, but they exist. What makes us think that the p'shayim in the pasuk are those without a carbon, which triggers this whole connection between the chet to the pesha to teach that only without a carbon. Perhaps the pesha discussed here is those with a carbon, because it's not. We have arba, mevi, and Allah Zod, and Shugah. 4 individuals, 4 situations are eligible for a carbon, even if it's made, just like if it would be a shayim. So basically, he's challenging this limud. It's manami. You find likewise that Ravan also presented a similar source. It's manami k'yasur Rav, Amar B'Yosi, Amar Shlakish, based on this very same pasuk. So we see the atonement only addresses chatoim which are similar to the p'shaim. Again, ma p'shaim labnei carbon mechab, just like it only addresses p'shaim which are not attached to a carbon, because the pecha typically does not trigger a carbon. Av chatoim, likewise the chatoim are specific to those without a carbon. The lav nei carbon mechaper. Abel chatoim nei carbon, but if it has a carbon attached, like mechaper won't address it. Amar. The Abai says, this is old news. I went through this already. Anonami maden kro amri. I already came from this pasuk and I was challenged. Actually, Ravdimi asked me, how do you know that your starting point is correct? Dani p'shaim d'lavnei carbon. And who says the p'shaim referred to here are without the carbon? Dil mahanach me carbon. Perhaps they are the ones with the carbon. It's not as we learned. Arba mevinas dan shgaga. Only Rabban says, look, right p'shaim lavnei carbon. Yeah, there were some exceptions, but for the most part, a pesha does not trigger a carbon. And we saw the pasuk was referring to that. Amalei, so he says, well, the pasuk doesn't say majority; it says pesha. And if there's some instance that a pesha triggers a carbon, so what right do we have to say? that a pesha is carbon free. Amalei midi rev. The pasuk says most. Elon Abaye. Let me explain this further. Mereisha the Kra. Let's backtrack to the beginning of that pasuk. We'll find an extra expression in the pasuk to teach us this very fact. That Yom Kippur will only address carbon-free sins. It starts with Zvad Olav, Eskalav Voimes, which is a purposeful sin. Bnei Yisrael V'Tanya. We have a brisa which explains Avoines means Elus Daines. Intentional. We find the pasuk Avoine Ba, that's by the Avodah Zarah, which is a mazid over there. So Avoin means mazid. And then we have again Veskol Pshayim, which again means mazid. Veskol Pshayim Chachatayis. Lamali. What's the extra expression in the pasuk? Why repeat it twice? Oh, if only to teach us this point. Like Shuye, to connect the Chatayim Lipshayim, to teach us that we're talking about standard pshayim which are carbon free. Likewise, the chatas is carbon free. Only that could be atoned for through Yom Kippur. Hence, we learned that Hashem Tali, yes, as we're going to see tomorrow's daf, that could be taken care of by Yom Kippur. But a chet which has a carbon attached to it, the carbon is still active. Ma pshayim labnei carbon, just like the peshas without a carbon. Af chatoim labnei carbon. Aval but if it's chatoim labnei carbon, and if he's already chayiv a chatas or an asham, even though he experienced Yom Kippur, he gets some personal atonement, but the carbon obligation is still outstanding. Okay, let's recap today's daf. The Egla Rufa becomes Asr Ba'ano at what point? Some say through the Arifa, some say through delivery to the Nachal Esan, turn out to be Machlekes Tanaim. We have three sheetas in terms of what triggers Asham Tali. Is it just donation? Is it something which is a chatas kares experience? So in uncertainty there's an Asham Tali, and there's a middle approach, which is there needs to be some element of uncertainty, some possible sin, such as the Safek Nevela, etc. Yom Kippur atones for pretty much everything, unless it's a Chiv Carbon, like a Chatas Vasham Bade, but it does take care of Vasham Tali. And again, it does not address Machshirim, like the Carbon of the Yoledis, which is a Machshir, and still would still be outstanding after Yom Kippur. Okay, all the best to you, and Hatzlacha Rabbah.